Hey, this is Eric from Catching Light.
Hey, this is Hemp.
Hey, this is Glenn.
Hi, I'm Steve-O.
Hey, this is Drew Hines with Hindsight Imagery.
This is Matt Callahan at Digimatty Photographic Services.
Hey, this is Jason, and welcome to Tales from the Pit. Hey, welcome to Tales from the Pit, the behind-the-lens access for concerts and photography. Today, we have a very special guest with us. We're very excited to have him. He's done podcasts. He's an author. He's an actor. He's a motivational speaker, and he's the drummer for Jason Aldean. Rich Redmond, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
What's up, guys? Much my pleasure, man.
So, if you don't mind, can you give us a brief history of who you are and how you got to where you are right now?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. I think this is so cool that we can all be in different parts of the world to make this thing happen. And I think for you guys, it's like 8 o'clock already over there, man. It's like, did you have supper or is supper after this?
During.
Cool, man.
Right.
But yeah, man, I've been, I've done a lot of interviews, and I tell people, I started playing drums when dinosaurs roamed the earth, 1976. I was 6 years old. Just had my 50th birthday. Usually we're at the Mohegan Sun Casino, and my birthday usually falls on a Friday or Saturday night with my band. It's usually the biggest raging week-long party because it's right smack in the middle of the summer. And of course, we've got this insane thing that's happening in the world. So my girlfriend, Kara, who's a fashion designer here in Los Angeles, we just went out to Joshua Tree and got an Airbnb. And I took some cool hand drums out there and just kind of got all zen and went into the park, and she cooked me 3 meals a day. And I had this cool hour-long video with messages from my lifelong friends. It was really cool. But yeah, 1976, I got the drum bug. I think my dad secretly wanted to be a drummer. He was an accountant. My mom was a nurse. They live in Florida, and they've been cheering me on all these years. And I grew up during the MTV era, so I was in love with Martha Quinn, and of course we had Alan Hunter and JJ Jackson and Nina Blackwood. Remember her? She sounded like she was gargling with razor blades. We had music on television, and I fell in love with bands like The Police and Van Halen, and then Heartland Rock like Mellencamp. And then I joined the 5th grade band in El Paso, Texas. I'm from Connecticut, but then we moved to Texas, which was great because Texas has this cool music education culture. And I was in the marching band and the concert band and the jazz choir and the pep band. And I had bands outside of school, and I did all the talent contests. And it was just a really, really fun thing. And then I ended up, my dad said, "You're going to college, son." So I went to Texas Tech University and then the University of North Texas. I became an overeducated rock drummer. I got my master's degree in classical percussion and music education. And then I was going to either move to the 3 places that you have to move, which is New York City, Los Angeles, or Nashville. And Nashville was always kind of like a stepchild of the music business. But I got this audition in 1997 with a girl named Trisha Yearwood. And that went really well. And then it led to an audition with Dina Carter and then Barbara Mandrell. And then I realized that all these people were falling in love with my drumming, and I didn't know anybody in New York or Los Angeles. So I said, I'm going to Nashville. And that was 25 years ago. And what Nashville taught me was how to play a song and to have the drums take a back seat to the song and make it all about the front person and that story that they're telling. I met a young Jason Aldean in 1999, and we've been playing together for 21 years.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So I've looked at your stuff. I've listened to several of your podcasts over the past couple of years. Cool. You've done so many projects, so many different things. I think I remember on one of your older podcasts, you had a rock. I forgot what it was. Maybe like a couple of years ago, you had a rock project you were getting ready to put out there.
Oh yeah, I had a band called The Fell with Billy Sheehan and Mike Krampus.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Cool. And then Mike moved to England. And It's like the Summer '69. It's like that song where it's like somebody got married, somebody dropped out. And Billy Sheehan's he's busy enough. He's in like 18 different bands. And so I was like, okay, but it was great. We almost put a record out. I don't know. So I think Mike's got another drummer in England, which is.
So did you ever complete everything, or is it just kind of just sitting on a shelf?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was fun. It was an amazing thing. You know, what I learned along the way is that there's only one Saturday night a week. And as much as it would be cool to be out on a cruise ship or be playing Hamilton on Broadway or playing in a cool symphony orchestra with the tuxedo and playing timpani, it's like there's only one Saturday night. And hey, I spent the last 21 years with most of my Saturday nights playing our brand of country rock music with Jason Aldean. And these guys are my best friends. 5 presidencies have come and gone. We finish each other's sentences. It's a wonderful home base. It really is.
That is so cool. So last time I saw you was last year when you guys did the 2-night show at the venue. Who shot that with me? Was that Hemp? Were you there for that?
I was running the drone that night.
Drones.
Anyways, that was so Jason.
I shot the first night with you.
Did you? Okay, yeah. So Friday night and I did Saturday night. That's right.
Yep.
So you guys were my first introduction to professional photography for country, and I had no idea what to expect. So we do a draft, and during the draft we pick which shows we want to do throughout the summer.
Wow.
And everyone said, if you want to do a crazy show, you need to get on the Jason Aldean show. I was like, all right, cool. I'll check it out.
Because of the audience and the people losing their minds, and they know all the words, and they start tailgating at like 9 in the morning.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the audience is insane, but honestly, I got to say the quality of the performance and the sound of the quality of the sound you guys had was amazing. I mean, I've seen tons of shows. The sound, the bass, the kick. I mean, you felt it really, really. It was full sounding. So I think you guys had one of the best sound systems as well. That's
great. That's great to hear. Yeah, we stole our sound man from Michael McDonald like years ago when he was like Chris Stevens when he was 27 years old, and now he like speaks on panels and in magazines, and like he's that guy. He's just really in charge of his craft, and it's just wonderful to be around people that all take everything so seriously. And like I said, when you're a bunch of guys that finish each other's sentences, and with girlfriends that have come and gone, and wives that have come and gone, and presidencies, and that's the only way to get that tight and have that kind of relationship is have that kind of commitment to each other. It's awesome.
Yeah, no doubt. It definitely showed, no doubt.
Well, you look like you should be fronting a rock band.
I do my sort of stuff. I was talking with Telly about some stuff earlier, but sure. So 2019 or before, what was it like? What's a day in the life for you on the road? Because I know you have a lot of projects going on when you're not in the band. But when you're in the band, what's a day for you? What happens in a typical day?
Well, I think going all the way back to the flip phone, and then the BlackBerry, and then Generation 1 iPhone. We're on 13 now. I would get up in the morning and I would go either teach private lessons, do a master class, do a clinic, or do a motivational speech at a drum shop, music store, franchise music store like a Sam Asher or Guitar Center, or a school of rock, or a 5A high school or college. And so that kind of like, I've always had a teacher's heart. I'm a product of music education, and I know for a fact it's one of the laws of the universe that if you want to keep what you have to give away what you have. So I don't keep information close to my chest. I share everything. People say, how do you do this? How do you do that? How did you get from point A to point B? I just give away all the secrets, and that will allow another generation of people to hopefully move this thing forward. So I kind of turned that into another like side cottage career of being an educator and being a speaker. And then that kind of grew into like product design. And then I started studying acting and voiceover. But to me, it's all falls under education and entertainment. I fancy myself an entertainer and I fancy myself an educator, and you kind of put those things together and you get edutainment. So the tour bus will pull in the morning at like 8 in the morning, and some guy will pick me up in a van. He's got to talk his way past security, and he takes me off to a drum shop somewhere or something, and I'll do a clinic. I'll come back, I'll eat some lunch, I get a workout, then we do a sound check, lasts about 20 minutes. We'll do 3 or 4 songs, check the system, and then it's find time to run my business. You know, we kibitz with the guys backstage a little bit. We have this thing we call the 501 Club, which we all try to break bread together, which is a very bonding thing for a band to do. And then it's time to do an unplugged show. So for all the high rollers that pay the extra money for this VIP experience, I'll play like a bongo, some bongos or a djembe or a cajon, and people get to be right up close and personal with Jason. And then after that, it's like 8 o'clock, warm up on a pad, hanging out with the guys. And then, you know, if we were a young band, they would say last cocktail or last whatever before we hit the stage. But we're old now, so they say last pee. And then it became first last pee at like 15 minutes before the show. And then it became 5 minutes before the show, last pee. And then boom, we follow the light down the hallway, and you get up, and then you're waiting, and then the curtain, and then boom, and then for 90 minutes we're in that thing, and it doesn't matter if we're hungover, jet lag, sick with the flu, diarrhea, the show must go on. And we have done it thousands of times together, so it's pretty cool life. You know, we live in a bubble, but I also know that I'm humble enough and I'm grateful enough to know how unique it is and what an interesting life I have. So we don't take it for granted.
So you were there with the beginning. I think I remember you telling the story about, and just FYI, my power is flickering, so if I drop off, I'll jump on my phone real quick. But I think I remember you talking about how you first got started with Jason Aldean, you and Tully and a few others. Kurt, you were the test band, if that, or something to that effect.
Yeah, it was like me, Kurt, and Tully had this relationship with Jason since like 1999, and we did like so many showcases and so many, demo recordings and playing local gigs around the Southeast. We probably did 40 showcases for every label, and then it took Benny Brown from Broken Bow Records to sign Jason, and then literally the first several years it was just like a power trio, me, Kurt, and Tully behind Jason, who plays a pretty aggressive acoustic guitar. And then before long we started to add another guitar player. We had to go through a couple of guys to find the right guy, Jack Sizemore, and then finally people were pressuring us saying, like, there is nothing country about this other than the storytelling and the fact that you guys are based in Nashville, so you probably need to add a steel player. So finding the right guy, we added our friend Jay Jackson, who is covered in tattoos, and he tips the steel, and it's like all the old steel players are like, oh, they're like, what is happening?
Breaking all the rules
up there. Yeah, and that core unit has been together for a good 10 or 11 years.
That is so cool. How different is, say, those early touring days to now? I mean, size-wise of audiences, buses, all that stuff changed, right?
Oh, man, we started off with old country stars would like lease out their buses for cheap, and we would have like some broken down bus with like velvet Elvis paintings and the velvet painting of the dogs playing poker. And we didn't know if the bus was going to make it to the venue. And we kind of worked our way up to a small crew. And then we got a better bus. And then there was 12 guys on a bus, and then 12 guys in a trailer. And then it became 2 buses and 2 trailers. And it just kept growing and growing until they started adding semis. And then the process was, playing those clubs like, fancy a name like Whiskey Dick's, where you're playing for a room of maybe 800 and it's elbow to elbow. I mean, it's definitely wasn't COVID friendly. I mean, it was like sweaty, greasy nightclubs or rock and roll nightclubs where you're peeing in the trough next to the other guy, and you're going in and I'm peeing next to the guy, and he's like, good job on the drums, man. He wants to shake your hand. I'm like, I'm going to wash my hands, man. Let me wash my hands first. And then that grew into like opening up for everybody in the industry. And then 2009, when Big Green Tractor and She's Country came out, we started headlining half arenas and then going out with like Miranda and Dirks. And then before you knew it, it just kind of evolved, Didn't happen overnight.
Yeah, it takes a long time. It's a long road, but I assume, I'm a musician, and I assume that when you spend that much time, it just makes you so much stronger. It kind of drives your focus and everything like that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, you appreciate it more. You appreciate it when you roll up your sleeves and you do the hard work. When like, when you eat your vegetables, dessert tastes really good. If you start with dessert and you eat dessert every day, it's not as sweet. And there's a lot of musical careers that are like that are just like out of the gate. There's an American Idol artist, and they have that huge audience, and then boom! And then, but where do they have to go from then? I mean, we were doing 200 shows, playing the Ham and Yam Festival, the Strawberry Festival, the Blueberry Festival, the Sweet Potato Festival, the Seafood Festival. You're like, how many festivals can we do? And then there's 2 shows on Sunday, and I come off stage and it's like 110 on stage with 100% humidity, and I'm wringing the sweat out of my underwear. You have to earn it, and I'm so glad that we did that.
Absolutely. Well job. Great job. Definitely.
Thanks.
How many? So how big is the crew right now? Do you know how many people you guys travel with?
We have about altogether, the organization moving down the highway is about 60 people. So, if you have, the dressing room decorator, and you have 2 monitor guys, and you got the carpenters, and you got the set builders, and then you got front of house, and then the video people. And it's just, it takes a village. It takes all these people working together to create that special thing. So when that curtain drops and people see that show, there's so many hardworking people that are sleep deprived, that are moving down the highway in this crazy circus to make this whole thing happen. And then you guys, there's nothing better than receiving high quality images in my inbox, especially when someone's like, really enjoyed shooting you, man. You're like an anime character. It was really hard to get you because I'm making all these De Niro faces. That's why a lot of my publicity shots are very much like staged things, like pointing at the camera, or just, because when you're in it, when you're in the throes of passion and you're playing your instrument, it's hard to get a clean shot, Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys travel or have traveled with an excellent photographer, Todd. He is awesome. He's one of the best around.
Todd and Chris, the Bro Youngs.
The brothers. Yeah. Definitely. They are excellent. When you guys travel with photographers, I assume that you guys are looking for specific marketing components to it or something like that. Sure. Do you have specific needs for your own photographers versus, every venue has a million different photographers, every magazine, all that stuff. Do you look for anything specific when it comes to photographers? Or what do you like that you see out there or something? I
love those guys because I've known them for 11 years and we have a special relationship, and they were in my 50th birthday video. My girlfriend tracked them down. I call those guys the ninjas because they're always in black, and they just try to not be seen. Like they're on stage with us. And obviously they're hired by Jason's people, and they have very specific demands of what they want for a new marketing. Like he's launching his new liquor line, or it's a Wrangler thing, or it's a tour promotion. Those guys just happen to like me. So they'll throw in some extra love and time to make sure that me, the rest of the guys in the band, can come out with some nice photos. And then occasionally over the years, I've taken them aside and thrown some extra cheddar and say what's it going to take to get a half an hour shoot with you guys before we come to sound check? And they've always been just because I don't know if you guys have known this, but back in the day, say I was going to be featured in Modern Drummer magazine or a big trade magazine. The magazine would pay to have a photographer fly out or whatever to do a thing. And then as the music industry changes and life changed and people are reading less and less dead trees, the expectation for a person like me, a creative, an entrepreneur, someone who's essentially running his own business, I am my own brand, they're expecting that I have my own license-free photographs. And so every 2 years or so, like a photo will hold up for about 2 years until you start to change your hair, or, forever it was like I was wearing a vest and a wallet chain, right? And then we were like, you guys look like you're in a motorcycle gang. So we stopped wearing the wallet chains, and then it became just tees. And then my hair went gray. So, I don't mind paying people for their time and talent, especially when people are so good at what they do,
Yeah, and those are two of the best right there. I mean, I know Todd does a lot of tutorial stuff as well for photography in general.
Yeah, I did a Creative Live thing, I believe.
Yeah,
which was,
yeah, excellent, excellent work from those guys. Absolutely. So you do a lot of other types of things besides just drums. I mean, you have your podcast, which you've been doing. Like I said, I listen to it on somewhat regular basis. Oh, we lost somebody. But you have your podcast. You want to talk a little bit about your podcast and how that came about?
Yeah, man, the Rich Redmond Show, such an original title, but I drew inspiration from Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Johnny Carson. I said, there's a theme to this here. I'm just going to own that space. I'm going to do that same thing. And it's on, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and YouTube. And so you can watch it, you can listen to it. And I just talk about all things music, motivation, and success. And I talk to authors, comedians, thought leaders, musicians, songwriters, producers, a lot of drummers. And we're just growing that thing and just having a great time doing it. I think we're on episode 66, and our sponsor is the School of Rock. So my co-host is a guy named Jim McCarthy, who's a drum hobbyist, but he's a voiceover artist, and he produces podcasts. We've known each other for a good 13 years, and we just have a blast.
Yeah, and your co-host pretty funny too.
He's a funny guy. He comes in with the quick right hook.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. What about producing and stuff? I know Steve has something he would like to talk to you about as well. Tell us about producing and stuff.
Sure.
I think what I wanted to kind of talk about is a couple of things. From the secondhand knowledge that I was able to get from EGB, I wanted to know from your point of view, how do you come into an act like that and set up a rapport and then try to capture their groove right out of the box without having a lot of background with these guys, where you're not on the road with them or you don't have a long relationship with these guys?
Yeah. Well, of course, you're talking about our friends in New Hampshire and that circuit. They're heroes here at the Eric Grant Band. And we're going back
not so much Eric, but just in general, there's going to be other guys that you've worked with like that, where you're just meeting somebody and say, okay, this is what we're going to put this on vinyl. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. Me, Kurt, and Tully, starting in 2007, we started a production company called New Voice Entertainment, and we were very active in that for about a decade. And then during that time, we would produce a wide variety and styles of artists, some indie, some startups. We got a lot of people record deals. We got Parmalee their record deal. We got Lindsay L their record deal. We got a lot of people record deals. And then we produced, I believe, 3 #1 songs, 2 for Thompson Square and 1 for a group called Parmalee. And it was good. We were first on the scene. We were the first rhythm section production company in the history of Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. So there's a lot of producers that, they call the shots. They're behind the glass. They have a great relationship with what they would call the A-list session musicians in the city of Nashville. And they're kind of big picture guys, but they rely heavily on the musicians that they hire. And what we decided to do was actually just produce from the studio floor. So actually playing drums, bass, and electric guitar from the studio floor and overseeing the big picture. And then behind the board was our 4th partner, a guy named David Fanning, a recording artist and successful songwriter in his own right. And that was good. It was a great 10-year period. And you just try to find what the artist is trying to do, what they are intuitively attracted to. And since Nashville is the songwriting capital of the world, it's so easy to get your hands on fantastic, unbelievable, amazing songs. And you're almost like a casting director for a film where you're trying to cast the right 5 or 10 songs for that particular project. And then you just do everything you can, which, say, an example would be Thompson Square. We broke our backs putting in 20-hour days for them to create a sonic identity for them. So when they come on the radio, that's Parmalee, that's Thompson Square. It was a fantastic learning experience. And that was a goal of mine, was to experience a lot of different angles in the music business. So touring drummer, recording drummer, educator, and then getting into songwriting and production. And so, and all of those things used to be full-time hustles, I would say, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. You could be a hit songwriter, you write a #1 song, you make $1 million. It comes into your mailbox. And now, because some crazy German guy in a lab creating an MP3, and Lars Ulrich got all upset about it, and then it went to court, and then now we have Spotify and Pandora. Like, everything changed, and now songwriters are making 0.0001% of a penny per spin. So that's been affected. Production has been affected. This year, touring has been affected. So I'm sure you guys are feeling it in your own way, because why? Everyone that owns an iPhone is a photographer, and they're filtering everything, and they've got their little selfie sticks and their lights. But you know what they might not have? The eye. They might not have the eye for composition and all those things that you guys have been doing with the 10,000 or plus hours that you've put in over the years. I take pictures. I'm not a photographer. If I want incredible shit, I'm going to call you guys, you know?
Good
Yeah,
move.
the whole camera phone thing is quite unique.
Yeah.
Because there are legit photos out there that have been taken on a phone that are some of the most stunning photos you can get on a phone.
And it's so
You're just like,
affordable, right?
Yeah, totally.
You know,
But yeah, absolutely. But I mean, that is true. When it comes to photography, it's really going to be about skill. It's really going to be about technique and stuff like that. That's really going to set you apart. Absolutely. So let's talk about your acting. So you've been doing acting for a little while now, right? Is that correct?
it's been like a 5-year grind. It's an enjoyable process. I would say that as far back as 1981, Jack Tripper come and knock on our door. And that was Hal Blaine on that, by the way. I was like, I can maybe be Larry. Remember the douchey neighbor that would come and always try to borrow money? And like I was like, I can do this. And so, but there's these seasons of life, and there's always the right time to start things. And it was just like, I got divorced 5 years ago, and it was just a great time to be a Phoenix rising and to put my money where my mouth was and really go after it. So I started studying in Nashville, and now I'm just grinding away in Los Angeles, and I audition and I audition and I audition, and I have nice assets that I put together. You know, I have a voiceover reel, I have a hosting reel, I have a comedic acting reel, and, you know, I take improv classes, and it's just a really, really fun thing. And along the way, I got to be so far like in 2 horror films that have been on Netflix. And then I was on a TV show called Happy, where I got to beat the hell out of Christopher Maloney from Law and Order SVU. I got my SAG card. And so I'm in the game. I'm in the hustle, and it feels really, really great to add this to my creative pursuits, you know?
That's awesome. It's a lot of fun doing that stuff. So I do some directing and stuff like that. So I'm on the other side of the camera. So I certainly understand that stuff. It is a lot
Jason,
of fun.
can I interrupt
Yeah,
Jason before you go too far with this? Rich, do you see that as something that's going to be maybe after your touring days are over?
Well, my goal right now is I'm just trying to get those 10,000 hours in and get a skill set together that is undeniable. And while I'm learning, I'm auditioning and attaching myself to films. So while we've been in COVID, I think I've attached myself to 3 or 4 films that will be shooting when they get funded and or things become safer for COVID. Excellent. And so if people really love you, they will work around your schedule to say, can I get you on a Monday and Tuesday this month, right? There's a lot of people that are not going to put up that. And in traditional acting circles, they're like, no, we need a guy that's 5'7", ethnically ambiguous with sprinkled hair, with salt and pepper hair, right? But if I meet the right people that really are committed to having me 5'7", ethnically ambiguous with my haircut, they will go out of their way to make things work. And those are the people I'm trying to find so I can maintain my drumming career. And if the drumming career changes or goes away, or Jason decides that he doesn't want to do this anymore, you know, I have got other creative options, you know, so, you know, I do some speaking to Fortune 100 companies. So my future is probably going to be playing the drums that I want to play, cranking out books, doing speeches that I want to do, and then taking acting jobs and then I can always teach drums, you know? So my goal to people, my advice that I tell people is like, look if you have 10 revenue streams and 5 of them go away, you could still probably do okay and not have to get out of the quality of life that you create for yourself, you know?
That's definitely true. You've definitely got it down. You understand the science of it. That's for sure. No doubt about it.
Well, I mean, we all got kicked in the face with this COVID thing, and you know, we miss the fans, and I miss my band of brothers. I've been, you know, I see these guys every day, or at least 4 days a week for the last 20 years. You know, so this is a different thing, and of course, we were all doing Zoom happy hours in March and April and May. I think Zoom happy hours, I don't know. They've gone away. There are people just, they ran out of all the booze.
If Jason ever was to air our first episode that we did ourselves and then cut that up because it turned into a Zoom happy hour.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like that.
So now that COVID is taking over everything and everything sort of stopped, what are you working on? What keeps you busy?
Well, every day is just kind of like this interesting grind of moving things forward. So like making sure that my speaking reel is completely up to date, making sure that my acting, hosting, and voiceover reel are up to date. And then I'm taking online classes. And then as I'm taking online classes and trying to, what they call it for people at my age is they call it continuing education. So that's my version of continuing education. And then I like to keep giving it away. So I'll do online drum lessons, or it's usually my online drum lessons are, I don't even really have a kit. I'm a drum coach. So if the kid has a drum set, I can coach them. And then I get mostly questions of, how do I maximize my practice? Or what are some good what's your warm-up routine? Or how can I get from A to B in the music business? What do you do? So it's more of almost like a combination of life and business coaching. And so that's always fun. And, you know, enjoying the California sun and catching up on all of my reading. And as we know, between Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime, this is the greatest time in the world to be an actor or a voiceover artist, because there's like 600 shows that are being shot, you know? And so that's full time trying to keep up with all that. And then I have a sexy girlfriend, and we like to go on our walks and cook together and watch the sunset and smoke cigar. And it's great, you know?
That's awesome. You do a lot of voiceover? Are you trying?
I want to. I have a really cool reel, and so I do the voiceover on all my projects. And I audition for a lot of things. You know, I've auditioned for, you know, Hardee's, you know, the new Hardee's thick burger, you know, so I do a lot of auditions. And you're either going to be right or, you know, you're either going to be perfect for the job or not. And in that field, it's like so crazy so to be a drummer, let's say you're a drummer and you go to an audition, they say, learn these 3 songs. You walk in, hopefully you got the right look, you got the right leather jacket, you got a firm handshake, you sit down, you know the songs, you hit it off with everybody. It's still a crapshoot, even if you're incredibly over-prepared. When you're an actor, it's like, too tall, too short, too dark, too light, waistline, not thin enough. There's like so many, they have a specific thing that they have in mind. That's why a lot of successful people in a lot of creative pursuits are just creating their own platforms to do things. So writing their own shows that they can star in. I believe even Hamilton on Broadway, you know, the lead actor, I believe, wrote that as a vehicle for himself to act in.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a smart way to go.
Back to the photography. Now you said that you've got 2 photographers that follow you guys around. Jason handles them. Now I'm assuming they're like most of the bands. They're backstage with you. They're following you around. They're on the tour buses. Is there any times you tell them to go away? I
think about 40 minutes before the show. Usually we play at 9:15, sometimes 9:25. We'll clear out the dressing room of guests and visitors at about 8:30. So it gives us 30 minutes to bond as a band, and then 15 minutes to pee, get our thoughts together, and then walk to the stage so we can downbeat at 9:15. And I've had this interesting job placed on me. It's a big responsibility for about the last decade of doing a quasi-motivational speech / toast before we walk on stage. And I try to involve what's happening in our lives collectively, celebrating any interesting victories, so birthdays, marriages, and then also the city that we're in. And that's really good for my improv training because I have to like do a toast in the moment, and then try to make it humorous. And, sometimes it falls flat on its face, but you just do it. And when it really works, the guys are like, yeah, good one, Redmond. But we love Chris and Todd so much. A lot of times they're just around us all the time, and they're not on the road with us full time. They'll come out for magical like promos or super big shows like Madison Square Garden, those type things,
So you don't have them full time every show?
No.
No. Cool.
Yeah.
You want to talk about some of your speech stuff?
Oh yeah, man. So
how'd you get into that?
Well, I've been doing motivational speaking for maybe well over a decade without a book, and then I finally put out a book, and that's my book.
That's awesome.
Thanks to Crash Course to Success: 5 Ways to Supercharge Your Personal or Professional Life. It's a mouthful, but thanks to Jeff Bezos at Amazon, everybody can be an author, and you can have the book delivered overnight to your front door as a dead tree, or you can download it to your Kindle or your iPad as an ebook, or you can listen to me read it to you on Audible. And so, it's interesting how much the world has changed since Jeff came along and started building that company in 1999. But anyways, the book is fun, and it's kind of like half biopic, half motivational advice. And my speech I tell people, is if you took Tony Robbins and you blended that with Jerry Lewis, and then you got Animal from the Muppets, and you put it all together. So it's definitely not by PowerPoint. It's basically me talking about commitment, relationships, attitude, skill, and hunger. And I will bring that event where I actually play drums and mix it with educational takeaways, storytelling, and humorous asides, and hopefully things that you can use in your life to be a better person in your personal and professional life. And I'll do it for like big pharma. I'll do it for farmers. I'll do it for community gatherings at Microsoft, Hewlett Packard. And I just love it. And I customize the messaging to the audience at hand. And now that we're in the situation that we're in, I noticed that a lot of my speaking colleagues they're all pivoting and shifting to doing an online presentation. So I'm set up to do that. I've got lighting, I have nice backdrops, I have lavalier mics, I can try to play in real time and pre-record those things, or I have hard drives full of footage of me playing drums that you can kind of put into the speech. And sometimes there's a Q&A, and it's just a lot of fun. And so it's just trying to find the right people that understand and can celebrate something left of center. So I'm not your dad's motivational speaker. I'm not going to be right for every company, because not every company wants a sweaty guy sweating all over their executives. But
you do school stuff too, right? For the kids.
School stuff is great.
Earlier. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, because the kids, we talk about those things: commitment, relationship, attitude, skill, hunger, but we also talk about patience, persistence, passion, discipline, follow through, integrity, teamwork. And I let the kids know about dreams and goals. And it's just so fun to put the drum set in the middle of a giant cafetorium. And I've got a microphone usually on a cord, a very long cord. And I've got to work both sides of the gym. And if you guys have ever, substitute taught or have any experience in the public schools, the main thing is maintaining control, and maintaining control of the kids. And it's so fun. It's always so challenging. Like, hey, sometimes I'll be like, hey, I drove 2 hours here to get here. I'm not doing this for my health. And then all the teachers on the sidelines are like, and the principal and the superintendent are like, because I taught school. I was a K through 12 substitute teacher. When I moved to Nashville, I'd play in the clubs until 3 a.m. And then at 7 a.m. I had my khakis on.
Oh man.
I was a kindergartner teacher. So
damn, back in the day when we had all that stamina, right?
Oh man.
No, we ask everyone too. Do you have a bucket list of who you'd like to play with?
You know,
It's got to be someone.
Don't we
Yeah.
all?
It's a great question. You know, my goal as a young man was to find my Sting, find my Bono, find my Elton John, find my Mellencamp. And I found that guy. You know what I mean? I found him in a young Jason Aldean, and that was 21 years ago. And when I talk about passion and persistence and falling in love with rejection and the fact that if you're trying to do anything in the creative arts, you're going to be slapped in the face with a lot of no's. You got to fall in love with that rejection. You got to dust yourself off. You got to keep moving forward. I would have found a version of that person, but I was just lucky enough that it was Jason. And because of the guys in his band and bringing their influences, like Tully was really into like old traditional country music and he really liked U2. And then Kurt was really into like metal and U2 and like shredding and the band Extreme, you know, like really good melodic rock, but with like feel. And then the other guys in the band, you know, pulling all those influences together to create something that was kind of unique that, dare I say, kind of gave permission to a future generation of people to seriously combine rock, pop, and country and have it be popular on the radio. So it really feels good to have done that. And as a result of that relationship with Jason and his band and his management, the management is so encouraging and supportive of all of us to get to play with a Kelly Clarkson and a Bryan Adams and a Bob Seger and a Ludacris. So cool. And all those people were top of their game and were very, very nice. And that's what I learned along the way, is that the people that are truly confident in their abilities and that have really earned their right to be there, they're usually the nicest people. It's usually the people that are at the mid-level, that are frustrated, that are trying to get to the next level. You can run into some attitudes and some negative Nellies, and that's never fun. But the way you combat that is to just show up with a smile on your face, kill people with kindness, know your role, commit to that, and then exceed expectations. And when you consistently exceed expectations, you can write your ticket to success. So I got no complaints, man. I hope that we get to do another 10 years together.
Amen. Totally. Absolutely. Yeah. Anybody else have any questions you guys want to ask? I've been hogging the mic.
I kind of wanted to touch on the book, but lo and behold, he picked it up and said, "Hey, it is the book." So,
well, hey, look at this. You know, this is my buddy Liberty DeVito.
Yeah,
30 years with the
Billy Liberty
Joel
DeVito's the man. Love it.
So he's next episode of my podcast, and because we've been doing things on Zoom now, but you know, he treated himself to a hardback cover, beautiful photography. It's not a tell-all. It's more of an inspirational story, and so I recommend this book as well.
Yeah, and his, you know, I think having him on Hired Gun really just was really, really, you know, it made so many people aware to what the reality of a hired musician is like. And that's just, you know, I talked with Jason Hook about photography and the Hired Gun stuff recently. Yeah. So, and he's working on, sounds like there's going to be more series related stuff to that. So that's really cool.
That's great.
Yeah, Liberty was awesome. He's an awesome drummer. No doubt.
Awesome. I mean, so much passion. I just told him, I would study him in front of the TV, watching MTV in my underwear, eating cereal when I was a young man, and now we're friends. So
that is so cool.
Good for you. That's cool. Awesome.
All right. So you've got so much stuff going on. Where do people go to find more information about you? So your book, your podcast, all this stuff, where do people go to get your information?
Oh yeah. Just super simple. Just go to richredmond.com. It's REDMOND. And it's just everything you want to know about all the things I do. I'm tired, guys.
Yeah, and I was looking at it. I didn't realize you also have drum packs for like Contact and stuff like that. You have so many things going on.
Oh yeah, if you guys go to, if there's any composers out there or songwriters,
that's me right here.
You just go to NashvilleSampleCo.com, and I spent 2 18-hour days in a world-class studio that Johnny Cash recorded in, sampling all of my drums. So if you can't hire me for your session, you could take my drum sounds, assign them to a trigger pad, and at least you get a little bit of the essence of me and the smell of me.
Well, I'll say the sound of you as well, because the sound is really big. That kick drum is. I'm a big kick drum guy, and that kick drum
Well,
sounds
thank you
real
for using
big.
it, man. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I listened to that today. I was like, I might have to pick this up. This sounds really good.
And it's cheap. It's like $150, man.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate your time. We can't wait till the next time you come to the venue. You know, it'll all work itself out.
It's a beautiful venue. It was remodeled, right?
Yeah,
is that the one I'm thinking about?
Every year we add a little bit more, and that's the one that had the golf course out back. It has a pool out back.
Oh yeah,
has little bicycle things you can ride around.
Yeah,
plenty of lobsters, stuff like
good
that.
Good food.
Oh yeah. We usually get lots of compliments about A, the catering, and B, just all the hospitality stuff that's available to the artists.
Well, an army runs on its stomach, and when you're cramped on a 40-foot tube with a bunch of stinky guys day and night, a jacuzzi, a masseuse, and some lobster is going to go a long way.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah,
thank you guys.
Much for being here
Keep
with
in
us.
touch, man.
Thanks,
Stay safe and
the
stay
time.
positive.
Thanks for watching Tales from the Pit. We hope you enjoyed this episode with Rich. If you have questions, email us at nhconcertphotogs@gmail.com. And remember to check us out on talesfromthepit.net. We'll see you next time.